When you talk about independence of the editor and running this particular story, the question then becomes, it's not the first time we have seen international media sort of like have this broad brush coverage on African countries, because you will not see it as specific or really to the issues. It will largely be just blanketing it all in one pot. And the criticism there has been there's a way in which they perceive the continent. So is this then a time that the Kenyan media has become robust and will not allow for any tag to be put on us? But it's not that this is the first time, it has happened before.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you can.
I don't think it was really the Kenyan media that pushed that. I think it was the members of the public, Kenyans on Twitter, you know, who started it off. And it was members of the public being very patriotic and, you know, putting their voice across. And then, of course, you know, media houses had to take that up and run with it. And so it points to the public being a force to contend with, you know, as far as, you know, the coverage of various stories is concerned, which points to a literate public, a public that, you know, has a capacity to voice, you know, their sentiments and make them known, and when they're not happy about something, that they would then, you know, be able to bring it to bear.
Okay.
I think what Nancy raises is something that we really need to take into account and to bring it home and to ask whether the same thing is happening here. This is the conjunction between the boardroom and the newsroom. You know, i.e. do managers, the people or the accountants, the people who deal with these advertising accounts, have a say in what coverage goes up, you know. So if that is the case, then we have to know that our news is pretty much curated, and from what point of view, based on what. So that if it is, we can't run a critical story about, for example, let's say Safaricom or any other big company, you know, because they might pull their advertising, then we need to be aware of this, and we know the stories we are getting are slanted, are skewed, you know, are not a reflection of the entire truth, you know. And that also impedes the people's ability to hold their government officials who deal with these companies every day to account, because they don't know, you know, they're not told, you know. So I think it's important, I think, for us to be a bit skeptical and to really insist. And I think we need to start looking at the way our media is also structured, you know, in terms of who owns it and whether that ownership itself impedes or affects the quality of coverage that we get and the slants of news stories that we get.